During a recent episode of Shaq's Big Podcast, JJ Redick pulled up and talked about his feelings about the GOAT debate in MJ's era.
I refuse to get into the GOAT debate. I don't care. They didn't play against each other. What makes him great is the fact that he's done it now for 21 years at the highest level. Yeah, LeBron's never averaged 35 in a year. Guess what? He's averaged 25 or more for 20 straight years. We're nitpicking. A lot of times we're comparing eras. Like, I'll say this with Michael Jordan, and I don't mean this to be controversial. Michael Jordan, during his heyday, 6 teams were added to the NBA. There were 90 players added to the NBA. Does that not water down? I'm not talking playoffs, by the way. No chance we're talking playoffs. You're not telling me that the league for a little bit is going to be a little watered down?
So, Brandon, what is your reaction to JJ Redick saying that the league was watered down by expansion during MJ's era?
I was 5 years old. So how the hell would I know?
You wasn't tripping, but you're a basketball historian. You're an older man now. You get to look back.
I mean, I just think what MJ did for the game helped it grow. So I don't think anything is watered down. I think anybody from Magic on to Larry to Mike to Kobe, Shaq, they all helped elevate the game. So I think everybody's done their job.
So to JJ's point, from I believe 88 to 95, league added 6 teams. Hornets and Heat, I believe in 88. 89 was Magic and Timberwolves, and then 95 was Raptors, Grizzlies. And you have players like Magic and even Rodman, who was a member of the Bulls' second three-peat, saying the league was not up to par back then. But Rashad, saw you rolling your eyes when JJ was talking. Mm-hmm. What's your reaction to him saying that MJ's era was watered down by expansion?
Well, like his first 2 sentences, maybe 3 sentences, was I'm not going to debate the GOAT debate. Then proceeds to
debate.
to fucking debate, and then uses Jordan's era to catapult LeBron. He didn't mention nobody else but LeBron and Jordan, right? Which is supposedly the GOAT debate?
Earlier in that clip, Shaq basically said, if you're going to have a GOAT debate, then you need to include Kobe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then JJ.
Yeah, like he didn't play against Kobe. You know what I'm saying? And then proceeds to say it's watered down. Michael Jordan did what he did for the game, right? So how is the game not watered down now?
You feel like the game is watered down?
I'm asking the question. How is the game not watered down now like it was when Mike was playing? LeBron and JJ on your podcast, please talk about how the game is watered down now. Huh? You was walking to the finals 9 straight, 10 straight years. You playing with everybody who at your damn skills camp. You run up and down the court, can't get touched, don't nobody want to run in front of you. Can't nobody say nothing to you in the public because they won't be your friend. It's the same shit was happening with Mike. I want to wear Michael Jordans. I want to be in the Space Jam movie.
So to JJ's point, 6 teams added during that window. I think the league expanded by around 25% during that time. The league expanded by 25%. Now it's about 7 more teams.
Ain't got nothing to do with being watered down.
How would it look? How would it look now?
The competition is the competition, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. If you consider Michael Jordan dealing with whoever was in front of him and dealing with him accordingly, cool. If you're gonna consider LeBron doing the same, cool. But don't say it's watered down for the sake of trying to put LeBron ahead of him. That don't make no sense.
Okay. Did he put LeBron ahead of him?
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
He said LeBron's number 1?
Yeah.
I don't think he said that.
Yeah, that's what he was insinuating to his crowd.
Out here insinuating?
Yeah, it's insinuation. 21 years at the highest level.
So what did he say about Kobe? Did he say anything about Kobe?
Not that particular clip, but prior to that clip, Shaq basically said if you're going to have a GOAT debate, there's no way that you can't include Kobe in it. So, Gil, when you hear JJ Redick saying that the NBA was watered down during MJ's era by adding 6 additional teams and 90 players, what is your reaction to that?
I think he's inaccurate on his math. I can see where his math is coming from, 6 teams, 15 players is 90 players, right? So that's where he's getting it from, not realizing, what history was. It wasn't 15 new players. So technically it's not watered down, right? Before this, it was really watered down because they had 7 drafts. That's watered down, right? When you can draft a chair Right? You can draft a chair, kind of tells you it's watered down. I think a woman got drafted back then.
Yes.
And I think Bruce, back when it was when she was Bruce, Brucey boy, he was drafted. He never even touched basketball. He was
Bruce
drafted.
Jenner, now
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner, yeah.
Yeah. So back then, the gold medalist when, that one.
Wheaties box, yeah.
He was drafted in the NBA back then, so the draft was watered down then. When they expanded the teams, there was only 12-man rosters. So the 15-man roster that he's saying didn't even exist then. It was 12-man rosters then. Now, a lottery, an expansion draft is this. You got two teams, which was Charlotte and Miami, right? Now, everyone protected their top 8. That means your bottom 4 gets put into the draft. Now, it's not 92 players because they can only pick a possible 12 each. So only 24 can be drafted from expansion. So you take the bottom teams, and then they draft back and forth. We draft. Now, in theory, right, we're only going to go after who? The top teams.
Absolutely.
Top 4 best players. So whoever back then. So Lakers, right? You're talking about Detroit, Chicago, whoever teams was top, we're going to go after those guys first. We're going to pick about 8 players each. And then we got free agency. And then we have the draft, right? So in theory, you're not watering it down because the players that are being picked are all NBA players.
Yep.
Right? So yeah, the talent gets spread, but there's no free agents that's sitting on the market. Like, we're not picking somebody who ain't played in fucking 20 years.
Right.
We're not putting them on our team. So you got players like Scott Skiles, right, who's sitting at the end of the bench. He gets sent to Orlando, and then he's most improved player.
Man.
Right? So they're NBA players. What it did, and I know people are going to get mad, this helps the top teams, right? You get to beat on expansion teams.
Yep.
So it didn't help Jordan yet.
Facts.
It helped Detroit Pistons.
He was they just turned.
They wasn't even turned over yet.
Yep.
Right? Remember, this is Detroit Pistons 2 championships.
89 and 90, yeah.
So this is not Michael Jordan's reign yet. This is
Right.
the Pistons' reign, right? So what ended up happening with them is you get to shed your worst 4. So you protect your 8, get rid of the 8-4, the 4. So that means Rick Mahorn, which he was a starter.
Yep.
But you're protecting Dennis Rodman instead.
Facts.
So now Rick Mahorn goes. Now you get to go to free agency with 4 new roster spots. So you have 4 guys, and then out of the 24 we get, or the 16 we get, everybody else goes back to their team. So it wasn't water, like he's making it seem like it was.
And it's top. We talking about top college players. The top college players coming out of the draft. It ain't like you're
They
getting.
they get drafted still.
No, I'm just saying that as far as talent goes, the talent that's coming into the league that's not watered down are top college players that's played college basketball 2+ years. So the talent, as far as coming into the league from college, is not watered down compared to now, where you got high schoolers, OTEs. Like, these guys aren't proven. Back then, at least they were proven to be, like you said, NBA players. These are all NBA players that are coming in. It can't be watered down unless you were saying back then when they were doing Bruce and them, and JJ saying you're playing against plumbers. Like, these motherfuckers was hoopers.
Like, this is
In the 90s?
The 90s, yeah.
Playing against plumbers.
No, he was saying like in the 80s.
But that's way back.
Yeah.
Like even like 87 draft, 161 players, 55 actually stayed in the NBA, or they played at least 1 game, right? 20 players didn't make it past 3 years. So only 35 players out of the 161 was real NBA players more than 3 years. Yeah. Following year, 42, 37, 47, 37, right? So by 91, 54 players was drafted, only 37 made it past 3 years, right? So the draft was watered down then, right? But this, if let's say Denver is allowed to shed the bottom 4,
Thanks.
right there, if they're allowed to shed the bottom 4 and you take 2 players, which you probably take what? DeAndre Jordan, right?
Yeah.
You take him and, you might get what?
Reggie.
Reggie, keep
right?
him and Reggie.
Now I can go to free agency with 2. I'm hoping you take that money off my books so I can go back and, get 2 free agents that
Solid
I wasn't
players,
expecting.
right.
So it boosted the topper teams.
But just from the other side of it, Gil, to your point, if it's 12 roster spots, I'm adding 6 new teams. That's 72 roster spots that didn't previously exist prior to that point. That means that's 72 players who may be NBA level talent who wouldn't have had jobs or would have been pushed out of the league that now get an opportunity. So, but it works both ways because you might get some boo-boo dudes who now get to start, but you also get some dudes who are up and coming now get a better opportunity and get to showcase their skills.
Or those guys that were stacked up on those good teams
On a good
are
team.
now can now spread out,
Yeah.
right? They didn't have the other teams and the opportunities to play on other teams, but now they're like, all right, we're not stacked up on Boston now. We're not stacked
Yeah,
up
you get to see-
on LA now. We can, I can go over here and now get to play.
It created more jobs, but the ideal of there's just like we just threw in
Hey, now
90
there's
new
now there's
players.
just 90 new.
It wasn't that.
Yeah.
I mean, when you say watered down, I mean it's the 80s is watered down in a sense because of technology. They didn't have trainers, right? They didn't have trainers. They didn't have, development skill coaches. They didn't even have shooting machines, right? They had to literally throw the ball out themselves, do the little turn, hit the little mid-range, right? If a team did have a shooting machine, you just stuck the dude on that and say, just shoot all day, right?
That's crazy.
They didn't have luxury planes like we have now. They had commercials. So this is literally how it went. Let's say we played a day. Think about it. What time is commercial? Red eye. For the most part, red eye is done. So they didn't take red eye. They had to stay overnight.
During the day, yeah.
Leave in the morning,
Yeah.
right? Leave in the morning, get to the hotel, sleep for a few hours, and get ready for the game, right? That's how they played back then, right? So they had disadvantages, right? So, to be honest, greatness then was considered great compared to what we're doing. We have advantages that we can leave tonight, get a full hour sleep.
Yeah.
Right? They got to fly, land, take a 2-hour nap, then play.
But go back to what you were saying. the other
Motherfucking
day.
AAU teams.
You were saying about Mike, though. Think about what Mike was doing. You talking about the greatness. If Mike is smoking cigars, drinking yak, and still doing what he's doing back then during that time of traveling and like the things that they were doing compared to what you're able to do now, what we know what we can recover with. We got ankle braces and you got Nike shoes and you got, different footing. Like niggas was out there balling in them chucks.
Yeah.
All right, ain't no footing out there. You get spraining ankles and niggas didn't even know that it was an ACL tear. They were just out there still hooping, putting the wrap around their knee. Yeah. So we did have advantages, but I think that JJ's just trying to subtly discredit Mike because the conversation is now, as LeBron has surpassed everyone in the accolades, it wants to be a clear-cut, no-brainer that he's the greatest because of all these things. And when you're having conversations with guys who doesn't consider those accolades a part of the greatness conversation, when we're talking about the nuts and bolts of it, because it can be considered when we bring all the conversation together. You say, well, LeBron did this, and this. And, Mike didn't play long enough to do this, and this. But when you talk about the credit and you talk about the discredit, don't say watered down when it's not accurate. Where you can back it up with all.
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing I combat is.
So you say not watered down? I would argue it's watered down to an extent but it's a part of the growing pains of growing a business, right? You're trying to expand the league, trying to add more teams, trying to add more value to the league. There's going to be periods but you have teams like the Heat. After a couple seasons in the league, they were good enough to make the playoffs. You have other expansion teams. For me, it's like a 4 to 5 year window where you can say the expansion stuff. After that point, your team is either just shit or it's good. I'm
just saying, don't make it. The only thing I can bat, whatever he's saying, I'm just saying, at least if you're gonna throw out numbers, at least do the homework that that studies it. Like there wasn't 15 teams. It was 15 players.
12.
There was only 12, right? Those players, only 20 or 18 went to those teams. Everybody else, you're going after big free agents. So in a sense, it helped the tougher teams. So that means Mike was going against a tougher team because now I can get rid of these 4 bad players and then add boom, 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 boom. So that means Michael Jordan was going against something harder anyway, right? So he was going against a harder Detroit Pistons because they got rid of these 4 and added 4 new players. right, through free agency because they got money. So it's a give and take, right? I just don't put out false information.
Right.
What you're saying is correct. Like, it's hard to judge, right, errors because we don't know the nuts and cranny of them all. I'm pretty sure if you had to stand in front of Michael Jordan, I'm pretty sure you got that work, right?
But to me, I think like when you talk about breaking it down, though, like I think he's diving into it so deep to the point we're forgetting just the eye test of it all. Like when you see greatness, what does it look like, right? That's how I view it. I'm like, when you see Mike, why is Mike considered the great when he was playing?
Because he never lost.
When you see Kobe, why would Kobe be considered a great in his era? When you see Bron, why would Bron be considered? I believe this to the core. The reason we have the Mike and Kobe comparison as far as bringing Kobe away from Mike because he's a mirror splitting image of him is because they played in the same offense. They prepared for the same thing. So if you put anybody else in the triangle offense, who else has been in the triangle offense except for those two guys?
Melo.
Is Melo considered top three like Jordan, Kobe? Is it Jordan, Kobe, Melo? No. It's Kobe and Jordan because Kobe was able to take what Jordan did in the triangle and say, I need to do this shit like this. When Kobe's his three-peat, he was not nothing like Jordan. He was still Kobe in high school. 22 years old, he was trying to find himself. Mm-hmm. But when Phil actually got to him, when Shaq wasn't an integral part of that anymore, it was like, all right, this is what it looks like when Mike didn't have a Shaq. That two-peat, before he was trying to get that three-peat, when he got back-to-back, that's what the Michael Jordan reflection looked like. It's like, yo, this nigga playing just like Jordan.
So would you give Kobe has 5 rings, right?
Yeah.
Would you say he's better than LeBron if you took away the first 3 because he wasn't even him yet? And he only has 2.
I just say that the him before the 3, before the 2 without Shaq was a different Kobe that we can't measure when it comes to comparing him to LeBron because that Kobe was insane to me.
No, what I'm saying
24.
is if you just give him his 2 rings when he became the dominant force, because what you're saying about Melo is Melo didn't have Phil when he was younger to even get the winning part of it.
But were they
right?
playing,
Kobe got 3 rings.
the triangle?
Yeah.
When he went to New York, and
yeah,
his growth in New York was impressive.
Yes. Yeah,
now, if you would have had him when he was in Denver and let him learn how to win early, he probably could have had a ring or 2. But what I'm saying is, with Kobe, they won championships before he even became his greatness. So we're judging him by 5 rings. Mm-hmm. Now, if we say, all right, you take those rings out, when you became him, you only have 2.
Right.
Now, would you put him in the top 3?
Absolutely. Okay. Because those 2 were so impressive. They were back-to-back without a top 75 player. He did it against top elite guys, which is LeBron in Miami, Paul Pierce, KG. Like the league was at its top peak when Kobe was really dominating still.
LeBron was still in Cleveland, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. He was in 2010, 2011.
Yeah, he was still in Cleveland.
The Magic beat him to go to the
right,
final.
Okay. So when I'm looking at that metric, it's like, if we're gonna include the championships just to have the conversation, that's gonna give Bron a conversation. But I don't ever really try to do the conversation with the championships because I'm like, it's skill-based. But if Bron play in the triangle and we see what Bron play like in the triangle, now I'm looking at the metric between Jordan, Kobe, and Bron in the same offensive setting where they could thrive. Because I think that's what gives Mike and Kobe a different element is because they played in the same offense where they got to be compared to each other because you didn't see it without it. That's what changes the conversation between Kobe, Mike, and LeBron. LeBron was always the lone soldier. He was always dealing with different coaches. He was Magic Johnson.
So does that make him? Does that give him a little bit of an advantage?
It does. It just separates him. It doesn't give him an advantage or a disadvantage.
It gives him a disadvantage.
It doesn't. It just the conversation is just without the mirror images of us considering Michael Jordan the best. And then Kobe's the mirror image of the best. Mm-hmm. And then look, here comes LeBron saying, all right, I want to be considered in this conversation, but you're without us looking at your skill set in the same way that we look at theirs. Footwork, one dribble, ISOs,
But you can't-
three-pointers,
you can't
all
do
those
that.
things.
You can't look. It's like you're comparing a girl you used to love to a new girl. They have different attributes. You got to judge her attributes for her.
I get it.
So if you're saying, well, my girl did this way, you can't do it this way, so you can't be better than her.
Yeah,
that's unfair.
But it's going to be unfair because the girl I used to love is always going to be my first. It's always going to be the one that you gotta up her.
So
you
that-
got to do better than her.
So-
Man, she ride that thing different, boy. She do it different. She do it different. Baby, you need to learn how to do it the way she, you know what I'm
But
saying?
she's
I
doing
got
something-
to
but
teach
she's-
you how to be better than her.
But she's doing something that your girl didn't do.
Probably.
That's
Probably.
better for you.
But it doesn't mean that I like it more. It just means that she's doing something different. And that's the conversation. It's
Yeah.
like we stuck on Jordan because he did it first.
But you're with a
and
new
he
girl.
did it-
You're with a new girl fantasizing about your old girl still. That's the problem.
But you have to.
you
'Cause
don't.
I want to compare you to the greatest. Because my old girl is the greatest. She the best I ever had. And if you want to come in here and take her spot, you got to be better than her.
You might as well not even have a new girlfriend.
That's
Just like
what-
you might as well not even watch
That's why
sports.
that's why we said stop having the conversation.
because-
we was like, yo, I'm gonna put these two out because they
but then
get
that means you
unfair.
can't. But then you can't hate on the other ones. Then you just gotta.
there is
And
no
that's why I
hate.
said this.
There's no hate.
You can't. Then you can't personally talk about the other ones. You can only talk about the one you like. So you
no.
can't throw in negative to the other two. Because you are so focused on this one.
No.
So that means you're only looking at this one, and then when you look at these two, you're saying, well, y'all can't be great because of her. You can't focus on these
be
two.
greater than
because
her
you have nothing good to say.
until you're greater than
But
her.
you have nothing good to say about them.
No. You just don't like what we're saying. We're not saying anything bad. It just doesn't equate to you as something good because you believe he's better.
I'd rather you be pro whoever you are than anti somebody else.
I understand that, but you're not considering what I'm saying pro because it's against what you like.
Pro is pro.
So I
remember,
can be-
Kobe is my favorite too.
I can be pro LeBron.
Pro is pro.
I can be pro LeBron.
You just don't be. You're more anti this person than you are pro this person.
I'm pro LeBron.
Like I'd rather you just sit in here and just wear all Kobe shit.
No,
Like that what I'm saying. But that is pro you.
No. This is the thing. I can be pro LeBron on his accolades. I can say, congratulations, you're the king of accomplishments. That's pro LeBron. But when I compare you.
Don't compare.
When I do, which is what everyone is doing. So you're telling me not to compare, but you got to tell everyone not to compare because that's the conversation. When you say, oh, LeBron's better, and then I say, why? You have to compare. Because that's the only way. Because you know why? There's someone in front of him. So in order for him to be the best, you have to compare him to whoever he's in front of. Kobe's in front of him. Mike's in front of him. Why is LeBron better? Because boom, boom, boom. That's a comparison.
But that's what I'm saying is you spend more time talking negative on the person who people are putting in front of it instead of just your point against your player. That's how it be. Like with Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan, he had a young feel, right? He had a young feel. So if you want to talk about everybody's coaching style, he had a young feel. Kobe has an advantage over Michael Jordan in coaching because the feel he gets is a bona fide Hall of Famer now. He wasn't a Hall of Famer when Michael Jordan had him. Yeah. So Michael Jordan had a rookie coach learning how to be great. Kobe had a great coach. LeBron never had any of it. He had starter coaches. So he got 4 championships on starter coaches. So the one who should be in the front will be Kobe because of the coaching. So he has an advantage. So he gets a plus. He gets an A+ coach. Jordan, for the most part, had a F turned A. LeBron, F all the way through.
Regardless of what you say, you're comparing.
No, I'm comparing coaching. I'm comparing coaching.
But you're comparing regardless.
I'm not comparing nobody.
But you
I'm
have
comparing
to.
coaching.
But you're comparing the situations.
To coaching,
Yeah,
not
but
players.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
but
I'm not saying who's in front of
affects
who.
the player, though.
Huh?
The situations affect the player.
In a
That's
sense-
what happens. So
And
you're
no,
still
no.
comparing.
What I'm saying is when you're talking about advantages, when players have advantages, this guy has an advantage on technology. This guy has an advantage because of this. This guy has an advantage. You have to factor in all of it.
Yes.
So you have to give points to every single one.
Right.
So when you say Kobe had the biggest advantage because he has a prime coach that already coached Michael Jordan. He already has it. So He failed with Michael Jordan the first couple of years and they won championships. So when he gets a young Kobe, he knows how to treat it. So Kobe has no flaw in a coach.
Right.
But
He
we're not
has no-
considering the coaching the part of his greatness. My conversation would be, all right, LeBron, how many all defensive teams did you win compared to Mike and Kobe? Right?
Who taught him how to play
But
defense?
you would have to compare it to have the conversation about, okay, why would we put LeBron at number 1 over these two guys when statistically he's never reached these milestones, attributing to the rest of his milestones? Then you say, all right, Mike never lost in the finals. Kobe has a certain win percentage in the finals. All of these different stats are going to favor these two other than LeBron because he didn't do this. But
It depends on what's. That's what I'm saying.
But that's a
Coaching, man.
comparison. We have to compare them.
They all have defensive. You using defense.
They all,
No, I'm just
they
saying.
all
I'm
have
just,
one, right?
Yeah, I'm
No,
just saying.
no,
as
what I'm
far
saying
as the
is,
comparison goes, when you have to compare at some point, you're going to compare something.
Well,
you're going to
then,
compare
then,
something.
then this is where coaching, right? Phil Jackson, defensive juggernaut type of coach. Offense and defense. His structure, the way he drafted, the players he picked, big point guards. He had a structure on how his team looked. He was the first small ball, but it was small ball, big ball. That's how
But
the
why
Bulls
was Kobe
played.
the only
That's
guy
how the
all
Lakers
defensive
played.
though? Why was Kobe the only guard on the teams all defensive if they were so
What I'm saying is-
juggernaut?
what I'm saying is-
he got his defense from Gary Payton. Kobe. Cole got his tactics from Gary Payton. That's
mean,
was his all defensive
not just
team.
Gary.
After he got that, after GP put it in his ear, hey, do this like this from the first All-Star game he
Yeah,
was in.
yeah.
He said, man, this is how you do it.
But he also
and he
played with-
took that and he's like, yo, I'm gonna apply this to my game, and now I'm a dual
Did he
threat.
play with Rick Fox?
Mike had the same thing, dual threat. I gotta take this away from you and go do this on the other end of the floor. Now I'm gonna be considered this kind of guy.
But you have to argue all the way through. You can't use when I'm saying is when you're giving someone this and saying, well, you didn't have this. Why didn't he have this? You have to take in the factor of it all.
And that's been the conversation.
So all of it.
And you know what
Like,
that
what if he
what is
played
that?
for
You know
Pat-
what that reason is?
What if he paid for Pat Riley his whole career?
But that ain't it. You know what the
changes.
reason? You know what the reason
probably
is?
have like 6, 7.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
You can't-
no,
you
it
can't-
ain't. Because that's not the reason. The reason between the three, these two had a fucking killer instinct.
LeBron does.
What does that mean?
Because
dog?
that's what the difference was.
But LeBron
when
does-
everyone has the conversation of comparing the three, they say these two dudes will eat your heart out. This dude will shake your hand and go eat steak and drink wine with you. That was
And
the
still win
difference.
though. But he winning
Because it contributed them to being all defensive players. They took this side of the court way more personal than he did.
Leave
And that
that's a
lie.
showed it.
That's a lie.
No, that's a lie.
And it
That's a
showed
lie.
it. It shows it.
That's a lie.
It shows it.
That's a lie.
Nah,
Shows
you
it.
You can't use.
But it shows it.
No,
it doesn't.
There's proof.
What's proof?
We just got 4-1.
Well, okay, he lost 4-1 at 39.
What is that? You just bring up an age.
What is that,
You just bring up,
39?
you just bring up an age randomly.
name a-
you just bring up a random
name
age. But you act like
That
he
is
been swept
age.
before. He been swept before.
Name it. Jordan was swept before.
Yeah, but
Kobe didn't even make it to the
he's still
playoffs.
he's still
like,
he's
we
still
not
an
saying
all-
that.
he's
What
still
I'm saying is we can
still an
be
all-defensive
negative against
player.
everybody. You're arguing for no point.
But you're
If
talking about
gonna
negativity, bro. It's
you
not
have to-
negativity.
You have to bring it all. You have
But
to
you're
use
creating a
everything.
narrative
You
that
can't
I'm
use
being
what you want.
negative, bro.
This
It's
is what
not
I'm saying.
negative.
This is what I'm saying.
You're being biased because you don't like what I'm saying.
All right,
I'm
not negative.
I'm the only person in this room who likes all three.
But I'm not being
So I can't be
negative,
biased.
though. But you're saying it's negative.
You're using things for them against them. Are
No.
you using anything for him
I'm
against
not
them?
using anything
Listen, I'm
against
gonna
anybody.
tell you something that is on death row, right? Death row means death, right? Lethal injection or shock treatment. Doesn't matter, motherfucker, you dead, right? So Jordan and Kobe can be rah-rah and the other one shakes your hand. 40 is 40, motherfucker. No matter how you look at it. No matter how you die, you dead. Either way. So you can't say, oh, this motherfucker took the electric chair. He died with pride. Versus he went to sleep. You dead. Right? That's all that matters, man.
You did.
All three of them were great.
is that all what matters?
All three were great. That's all we can do, man.
It isn't.
What?
It isn't. Because what you're just saying is you die, right? All right, LeBron accidentally hit a nigga with his car.
Is he dead?
Yeah, he did. But
He did.
you know what these niggas did? You know, but hey,
He did.
But you know what these niggas did? I hunted you down in the forest and chopped your goddamn head off. And then I put it up on all the fucking highways. When you ride by,
Yeah,
when you ride by, you know what you see? You see these heads. You like,
you just do it
God.
louder.
what I-
yeah, you
what-
just
so you know
louder.
what? But look,
yeah, you do
what
it
I
louder.
see is 3 funerals.
Yeah, you do it louder.
What he did
You
is
do it louder.
he was speeding with his headlights off, and he hit some innocent bystander, and he kept going.
I see 3 funerals. That's all
Damn,
I
he
see.
dead. Yeah, he dead, but you ain't mean it.
3 funerals.
You ain't mean it.
3 funerals.
That's
is
why
3
you're
funerals.
not in an electric chair, because you didn't mean it. But these niggas are serial killers.
So,
These niggas are going through every city chopping heads off.
He wants to be loud with it. He wants you to be loud
so
with it.
Rashad,
That's a personal. That's
Yeah.
a personal
It's
stand.
not.
That's what it. That's it's.
Yeah, he wants you to be loud.
Rashad, you
The
talked about.
FBI not looking for you, bro. They looking for us. They looking for us. The FBI looking for us. They just get you a pass. They're like, hey, he didn't mean to do it. He done ran
All right,
over
what-
16
so-
people this month,
so-
and he ain't mean to
That's
do it.
because,
So,
it's because
Rashad,
you
you talked
loud.
about-
You loud about it though.
You
FBI
talked
gonna
about-
be after whoever.
You talked about